welcome back to Practice Intimacy. This is the place to be to learn all about love, sex, and how to have the best relationships you possibly can. I'm Jami Lynn. I am a marriage and family therapist in the Austin area, and I love talking about relationships, sexuality, how to have the most intimate life that you possibly can. And today the topic I wanted to discuss, the practice I wanted to discuss, is a mindset shift, an intention shift, really, where when you move into any kind of sexual encounter, rather than trying to have an orgasm, you set the intention of trying to experience as much mutual pleasure as possible, to where you and the people that you're having this sexual encounter with will have more pleasure during the whole experience. This really is an internal shift. This would be a big transformational thought for a lot of people, because in Western culture, we're often taught that orgasm is the goal of sex, that we are supposed to reach the finish line, hopefully together, and if we do that, it was a successful encounter. When in reality, what that actually does is it causes people to perform. I have to do certain things in order to make my partner come or to make myself come, and that's what I'm supposed to do, so I might as well just do those things, which limits creativity. And it also sends both people into a certain amount of neuroceptive danger. When I say neuroceptive danger, I just mean that your nervous system is picking up a sense of threat. And the reason why there's a little bit of neuroceptive danger always, if your goal is orgasm, is because you have an agenda. And if you're wanting to go real deep into this topic, you can check out this video. I talk all about neuroceptive safety and danger and how agenda plays a role in that. But here I'm just going to sum it up. If you are focused on an outcome, if you have a particular expectation in mind for how things are going to play out, and you are often anxiously trying to get there, because if you don't, that would mean something bad about you, about the way you have sex, about your relationship, whatever the case may be. You're rushing to this particular expected outcome, and the way your nervous system experiences that is through discomfort, through a sense of danger. If I don't do this, something bad will happen. It's also possible that maybe you're not experiencing all of that on the surface, but if you have a partner who does, a partner who believes they have to perform an orgasm in order for the sex experience to be a good one, then they're probably going to have an experience of neuroceptive danger. If I have an agenda that we both have to have an orgasm at the end of this experience, then there's pressure on my partner to get to it rather than just relaxing into a really lovely experience that may or may not include orgasm. Who cares? So long as it's enjoyable for everyone involved. So that's a lot of information. And I want to give you a practice around this. How do you actually begin to focus more on the pleasure experience rather than orgasm? If you are more of an intellectual type and you like to learn theory, then a great book for this is actually, what's his name? Dr. Marty Klein. His book is Sexual Intelligence. And if I was going to sum up the book in a couple of words, it would be to set the intention of focusing on pleasure rather than focusing on orgasm as the goal of a sexual encounter. And the way he describes it, which I love, is it's like you're going out for a beautiful 7-course meal and you rush through the appetizer, the entree, all of the different courses just to get to dessert, rather than taking your time, enjoying every bite, savoring every single moment, really experiencing each new dish. And then if dessert comes, great. If it doesn't, okay, you actually just had a beautiful meal. And it's very similar to what it's like having sex with people. Everybody's different, so we spend 10, 20, 30 minutes, maybe longer, having all of this sexual interaction, just waiting for what will probably be shorter than a 10-second orgasm. 10 seconds is like really long. Most people, it's a few seconds, 3 at the most, where you're feeling this intense experience. And so, if you want to begin shifting from the agendaed, performative, have to orgasm mindset into a more intentional, we're going to enjoy every moment, we're going to swim in pleasure for as long as we want, regardless of what happens at the end, then things you can do would be practicing mindful touch. And you could do this on your own at first, and then you could include partners in it. There are some wonderful practices where you just work with a partner and you just do touch exercises. All of sensate-focused therapy is based on this idea, where you come together and you're not touching anything that's like an obvious erogenous zone, but instead you're sticking to places that are erotic and exciting and pleasurable, but not focused on orgasm. So you might be touching the person's neck, their collarbones, their shoulders, down their arms. You might be touching their hair or face more. And you can do this by yourself too, like I am right now. You could just really gently or firmly, whatever your preference is, like find the thing that works for you. For me right now, it's kind of gentle. Just lightly touching yourself all over and feeling the pleasure in that rather than trying to make it something more. It doesn't need to be more than this. This is lovely. And then, as you get used to doing that sort of practice where it's just a whole body experience of swimming in pleasure, not attempting to make yourself come or anything like that, then you can move to more direct erogenous, like obviously erogenous zones, and touch those areas in ways that are pleasurable. And this is really just a experiment and a practice in curiosity, letting yourself explore without trying to reach a certain outcome, letting yourself be a little bit like creative and wild. Ooh, I've never touched myself like this before. Let's see what happens. And always, always, always returning to what's pleasurable, what's pleasurable. Like I said, solo practice is always the best thing to start with, because until you can start to build some nuance as well as a little bit of like surprise into the way you touch. So if you're touching yourself and it's all really nice and you're like, this is great. Okay, what else could I try? What's new? What's different? What have I not done before? I'm just gonna like massage a little deeper and see how that is. Or I'm gonna try fingernails and see how that is. If you start with yourself, then eventually moving towards doing these kinds of practices with a partner, listening to their feedback, being really open to hearing their communication whenever they're like, you know, that's not quite right, a little bit more pressure. Or, I like where you're touching, but could you do less friction? Or it could be, I love the movement you're doing, but could you move a little to the left or right? All of that is helping yourself move to a place where both people, all people involved in the encounter are really turned on, are getting to explore the edges of their pleasure and just experience sensuality, sexuality without agenda, without pressure. And I'm recognizing that I'm still giving a lot of information, it's still theory. Nothing changes unless you take these ideas and you actually apply them. So go practice, go have fun, touch yourself, see what feels good. I'm not playing. I think this is the most important part of any kind of practice that you do, is the actual doing of it. And you're gonna feel strange at first. It's going to be awkward. You won't know if you're doing it right. All of that is normal. Just keep going. And constantly the thing to return to in your mind, the intention is, I'm just doing this to bring myself pleasure. Does it feel good? Does it feel good? And if you end up just rubbing your feet and you're like, this isn't sex, I beg to differ. If you are rubbing your feet and it feels amazing and you have taken the time to be intimate with yourself sensually like that, I'm gonna call that a sexual win. That is awesome sex. Okay. I hope you have fun playing with yourself. I know I probably will later today. This is part of my daily practice. I incorporate this kind of touch when I put body oil on after I get out of the shower, when I'm a little bit sore and I just need like a little bit of love and tenderness. And it's never an agendaed sort of touch. This is always a loving, curious, what's going to feel good to me right now in this moment sort of touch. I hope that is helpful. Please do leave comments and questions below. I love having engagement with you. Every time you write something, I read it, and I really appreciate that. Remember to like this video, send it to anyone you think could benefit from it, and subscribe to my channel for weekly videos just like this, where we talk about how to have a wonderful, intimate life. Bye for now.